Great, thank you. All right, thank you, Kelsey, and welcome everybody. I hope you can hear me well. If you can't, please write something in the question box and Kelsey will notify me. I'm very excited today to talk to you about Minecraft and how that has become the program that brought a whole new life into my children's department. And it also brought a whole different population into the library, people we weren't seeing, mainly school-age boys, teenagers, and grandparents. I'm going to talk a little today about how this program works and how it worked for me and how it sparked a whole bunch of new ideas. So here's a couple of pictures. We call it Minecraft Thursdays at GPL. And here are some pictures of our events as they're taking place. And it is just, it warms my heart to see these. It's a great interaction of teens, of kids, of the adults who are willing to bring them to the library. So it's been a lot of fun. Our objectives today are going to be learn how to set up a Minecraft program at your library. I'm going to talk specifically about how I did it, but I would be happy to help anybody with questions at the end. And also how gaming, literacy, and socialization at the library is a win-win for you and the community. There really has been no downside to any of this program. And lastly, how to try something really outside of your comfort zone, even if you're not an expert. I feel like I've spent the last couple of years of my life really perfecting that skill, so hopefully I can share some insight. So a little background. It was roughly spring, summer of 2014, and there was a lot of buzz about Minecraft. I'd heard about it. I thought about doing a program called Minecraft in Real Life, where you didn't actually have to game, but there were activities to do based off of the game. But I never really did that. But the more I heard the buzz and the more kids kept coming in asking for the books, the more parents asked what it was and why are their kids so obsessed with it, I decided to explore a little more about it. I bought the books as they started to come out because the kids were asking for them, and then I realized I couldn't keep them on the shelf. They were flying off the shelves. It used to be that Star Wars was my top-ranking book that went out, and it turned into very quickly into any Minecraft book just flew off the shelf. I was also encouraged to explore Minecraft a little bit more. And also about that time, I ran into an article, this article in Wired magazine in their October 9th, 2014 design issue called Reading Minecraft, How Video Games Can Boost Literacy by Clive Thompson. And it was kind of timely because I had thought about gaming, but I wasn't sure how it fit in with the library and its mission and what we were trying to do. And when I saw this and read this, it really kind of cemented the deal and I thought, I now have to do something about it. So some of the highlights from the article is that Minecraft teaches reading and writing. How, you might wonder? The secret is not in the game, but what the players are doing outside of the game. Minecraft is surrounded by literacy. Players are often poring over how-to texts on Minecraft wikis and walkthrough sites, or by digging into printed manuals such as The Ultimate Player's Guide to Minecraft or any of the official essential Minecraft handbooks. The Ultimate Player's Guide, for example, has a Flesch-Kincaid reading ease scale of 8th through 11th grade reading level. If any of you have done a program with Minecraft in your library, my kids started out at 7 and they are skewing younger and younger every time. So it's amazing that a book that has a reading level that's aimed at 8th through 11th grade is being devoured and read by 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. Because they want to know how to play. They're just fascinated by it. There was a games researcher at the University of Wisconsin-Madison who discovered that her students, which were struggling readers, when they were asked to choose a game topic they were interested in, and then she found texts for them from game sites to read, that those students actually read the text without any help and with nearly perfect accuracy. And there was also a literacy researcher from Sam Houston State University that saw that her students only read for 10 minutes a day in English class. That's all the time they were reading. But amazingly, they read for 70 minutes at home when they read up on their favorite gaming strategy. So the conclusion this article comes to is that to get kids reading and writing, give them real-world tasks that they care about, and these days, that's gaming. So I decided, do I want to try this? And how could I win from doing this, and how could I lose from doing this? Because it's not my area of expertise, it's not something I feel comfortable with. So first, I did a lot of research. I downloaded the game, and I tried it out, and I read the Essential Handbook. So that was my first. I'd heard about it, I'd never played it, somebody tried to explain it to me, but it didn't make a lot of sense. After reading the handbook, I was just amazed because the game actually sounded really cool to me. It wasn't just some video game, like a fly-by-night video game. And I realized the skills that you needed as a child, and it was aimed at children, were pretty advanced. So it was kind of amazing that it was not an easy game to learn how to play, and you needed a big skill set. And also, what you got out of playing Minecraft were a lot of practical life lessons and a life perspective from playing Minecraft. So I played for a bit, and the first time I played the game, I was online and I was trying to play it, and you can text during this game. You can communicate with other players. So somebody came on and said, "Hi, how are you?" Well, I didn't want to talk to them. I was there to focus and to practice and figure out what this game was, so I ignored them. But they were persistent, and they kept saying, "Hello, are you there? Why are you playing?" And then I realized I was an adult playing a children's game, so I had to be careful because I didn't want to make I assumed child uncomfortable, and I realized I was an adult. So I finally just said, "Hi, my name is Kathy. I'm trying to learn how to play," and left it at that. Well, we kept conversing back and forth. They were giving me tips on how to do things. And through this conversation, I realized that the server I was in was actually a patron of mine who's now in college, and I knew him as an elementary school student at one of my first library jobs. So that was a lot of fun. The other interesting thing that happened once I started playing was that I couldn't learn how to chop wood. You read the basic Essential Handbook and it tells you the first skill you need to learn is to go into Minecraft and chop wood so you can create a shelter. I tried. I banged my head, I moved my sword, nothing was working. Eventually one of my 8-year-old friends showed me how to actually chop wood in Minecraft. And another time I was playing and I was, this server I was on, somebody else had created a beautiful home and there were all sorts of gardens. I mean, somebody had done a lot of work in the server I was playing in. But I was trying to figure out, I was trying to stay alive overnight because that's when the zombies and everything come out, and I knew that fire kept the zombies away. So I stayed near the fire thinking that would help me. It didn't really help me. And then I was excited because I could hear noise in the background. So I knew that somebody else was in the server, playing in the world. So I ran towards them thinking, great, I can ask some questions and figure out what's going on, only to find out that I had run directly into a zombie who wasn't there to help me, but he ate me and killed me. So I was all excited that I'd perhaps had some help, but I really didn't. So after doing a bunch of research, what I realized is that I needed some resources. I needed a server, I needed access to the server, I needed some experts because I was certainly not it, and I realized eventually I realized that I would need some volunteers. And I also needed the courage to try it even though I didn't feel like the expert. As I said, I couldn't even chop wood to make a shelter, which is one of the most basic skills. So after doing some research and thinking of some things, I decided to call the program Minecraft Thursdays at the Library. And we invited kids aged 7 to 12 to drop by the library on Thursdays and play on our server. We also gave them the name of the server, so if they wanted to play at home, they could. And we also told them how to connect to it. And then we also gave the parents a little bit of information about how the server was moderated, which is important because we wanted it moderated for behavior and language, and also that the kids would never be asked for any personally identifiable information. So here's how I set it up. I found the server, and the server we use, the address, the librarycraft.etowns.net, I found through a colleague of mine. She knew somebody who played and who had a server, and this person was a college student, so we decided to ask, and he was more than happy to let us use his server. I also liked the idea that it was a moderated server and that behavior and language was going to be watched. And I thought this was important for me to be able to explain to the parents and the adults that it was okay to let them, let them play, and that hopefully there would be no online bullying and things like that. I needed space, and the only space I had was out on the floor in the children's room. I also needed some way for them to play it. So we had a computer lab. Our friends had generously bought us a 20 laptop lab for us to use in programming earlier that year, so we decided to use that. So how did I advertise the program? We did a program brochure. There were program flyers that came up on the screens. We have a television screen mounted behind our circulation desk and also in the children's room. So as you're waiting in line or you're using the children's room, all the different flyers for each of the programs scroll through. I also created bookmarks that I put in all the Minecraft books, because my thought was if you were coming to the library and you were checking out a Minecraft book, you might want to come to the library and play Minecraft. And I also talked it up. Whenever anybody asked for a Minecraft book or I noticed a child wearing a Minecraft t-shirt, I would make sure I told them that we offered this program. We also did a program called Minecraft for Parents and Grandparents, because a lot of the adults who were asking questions didn't know a lot about Minecraft. They didn't know why their child was obsessed. They didn't know what they were doing. They said the kids tried to explain it to them, but it didn't make much sense. So I decided to do a program for those parents and grandparents who wanted to know a little bit more about Minecraft and perhaps give them the opportunity to sign up and play it themselves. So here are some pictures from that event. And before everybody sat down for the event, I placed Legos in front of them. And I told them to go ahead and play with their Legos while they were waiting for the program to get started, and that I would explain shortly what the Legos were all about. So people were building and different things, and when they started the program, I said to the group, so what did you build with your Legos? And somebody said, oh, I did a robot, somebody built a bridge. They were building all sorts of things. What I told the adults was that what you just did with the Legos in front of you, building and creating, is what your child or grandchild is doing in Minecraft, except in the game. It's considered a sandbox game where there's a lot of creativity and a lot of building. And that really kind of, it sank into some of the adults of what Minecraft was going to be. I also had Henry, who was our the server owner and moderator, come, and he showed them how to get into the game. He showed them some of the basics, how to find supplies, how to create a crafting table, and how to create shelter, some of the basic things they would have to know. And then we also gave them, the adults, the opportunity to play. So this was the picture in the upper left-hand corner is our first session. When we got set up for the game, I had 2 tables and 8 chairs, so I thought, okay, I'll set up 8 laptops. We'll be ready to go. And by week 4, it exploded. I had all 20 laptops in use. Sometimes I had a small waiting line. Week 3, I was getting stuff ready. I'd only set out a couple chairs, and I realized more people were coming, and one of the dads agreed to help me. And he says, are you ready if this takes off? And I said, no, haven't had that much time to think about it, but I'm willing to go with the flow. And I think going with the flow and being flexible will really help you as you're going to try different things or try things you're uncomfortable with. So Minecraft exploded, literally. We went from 8 players one time to 20 to start the session with. and then I consistently had between 30 and 40 kids who played every single week who came to the library to play. I found it was a great way to get an underserved population, school-age boys, into the library. Then I found teen boys and girls who helped moderate them and help them play. So one day I was watching everybody play, and this young boy ran around the corner, came into the children's room, saw an empty spot at one of the computers and sat down. Didn't even take his coat off, sat down and started playing. I thought, great, he knows what he's doing. And about 5 minutes later, an adult comes around the corner, and she sees me and she waves to me, and she goes, I have to tell you something. And I said, what? And she said, so we came into the library today, and my son said, Mom, listen. And so she listened, but she didn't hear anything. And he goes, no, Mom, listen. And she says, honey, I don't hear anything. And he goes, Mom, they're playing Minecraft in the library somewhere. I must go find them. And that's when he tore off and came into the children's room to find everybody playing. So it's been a lot of fun. The volunteers have been fantastic. The kids have been great. It's something they really enjoy. So when you're going to set up a program, some of the things you need to really consider are your server. Are you going to build one? Which you can build, and my understanding is that it's fairly easy to do if you have the technology. Apparently you just need a laptop to run it. That's not my area of expertise. So I went and borrowed one or asked someone, and all I did was ask one person. I'm sure if you asked in your community if there was a Minecraft server somebody would allow you to use, I'm sure you'd get a positive response. Access. How are they going to play? Are they going to play on laptops? Are you going to play on the desktop computers that you might have either in your children's room or in your library? Are they going to play on iPads? Are they going to bring their own device? That type of thing you have to decide. The PC version of Minecraft, you can't, so if you have if you play on the iPad, you can't join the server world that we were playing on. So we had iPads that had the Minecraft game on it, but it just was an individual thing. They couldn't join the server we were joining. So we decided that we wanted to play the PC version. Excuse me. You also need an account. So the PC version of Minecraft requires that each player have an account. So I went to GameStop, I bought 3 accounts, and set them up, registered them, and created username and passwords for them. That information was never given to the kids. It was just given to the moderators to set them up ahead of time. Volunteers. If you're going to get some volunteers, how are you going to get them? I went to local schools or clubs and looked for other interested teens who had shown some interest in some technology. And there's also Minecraft EDU, which is a possibility, but I have not explored that possibility yet. I know that perhaps going forward my server owner is going to graduate from college and move on with his life and may not want to have us using, he might not even keep the server going, I don't know. So Minecraft EDU is one of those things that I have on my back burner to start looking at to see if that's an option for us. So I decided to keep calm and to play Minecraft. So what did I need to readjust with its popularity? Because it literally went from, it kind of just exploded in only the best way. So the accounts. I assumed that every kid who was going to come had an account. That was wrong on my part. None of the kids had accounts. They had either played on an Xbox or they had played on their iPad. Those accounts do not transfer to the PC version of Minecraft. So I started out with 3 accounts originally. I had to go back and buy 3 more, and they were, I believe, $26.95 at GameStop, and it's good for the life of, there's never any renewal fee. So I created those, and then Henry, the owner of the server, had 6 accounts. So between us, we had 12 accounts. And then periodically, as parents would come over and ask, because part of the problem was the kids would be playing, all the accounts would be in use, and I'd say to the kids, so do you have an account? And they go, no. And I said, okay, well, let's see if we can get somebody who's finished up to move over so you can play. And then I would explain to the parents if they the child really had an interest in playing Minecraft on the PC and joining the servers that they really did need an account. The other thing I really needed was volunteers who knew how to play. I was astonished how many kids who came who didn't know how to play, or they had heard of the game and they wanted to play but really didn't know anything more than the basics, or really wanted to expand their skill set. I was useless in that pursuit. So I really needed to find volunteers to help them. Henry did a great job at first, but the sheer magnitude of the kids and the questions that they had, really, it was not a one-person deal. I kind of thought I could set it up out there, Henry could answer any questions, and we'd be good to go. And it became slightly more complicated because there were more questions than we could keep up on. So what I ended up doing was hiring Henry to moderate and facilitate the program. So he was in charge of setting up the tables every week, putting the laptops out, and then coordinating the volunteers. And then what I realized my portion of it was my position was to be out there to facilitate. So I'd kind of sit back, watch everybody. If some child came to the edge of the group and wasn't really sure what was going on, I'd encourage them to come over and take a look at what we were doing. Or if parents would walk over and go, so what are you doing over here? And I could explain to the best I could, and then if there were technical questions, I started referring them to Henry or some of the volunteers. The one thing I learned that I readjusted with its popularity, so we found a bunch of teens who wanted to volunteer to help. They also started playing, which at first I thought was no big deal. I said, sure, play while it's quiet, and then when the kids all get here, you can start helping them. That's not what happened. The teens got so engrossed with what they were doing and playing that they forgot they were volunteering and helping the other kids. So we had to readjust our volunteers and explain to them, all right, this week you're playing Minecraft, next week you're volunteering. And that really helped everybody. It was the best of both worlds. They got to play, plus they got to volunteer. So it really helped a lot. So here's one of my pictures, and it kind of gives you a really good idea of how we set up the program in the children's room. We literally just took over the space. Our meeting room wasn't available, and what I really like about being on the floor is there were that buzz. Like you could feel the energy level. You could feel the excitement. You could hear the happy chattering of everybody, and it really created a really, I think, welcoming experience. And it encouraged people to stop by, because you see that many kids and that many computers, and you have to stop and go, what are they doing? So it really worked really well. And we just set up the tables. Since the laptops were new, I didn't really have an issue with power cords. They would last the whole 4-hour time we were playing. It's a year or two in now, and the laptops aren't holding their charge as long. So we do have cords, which will become a whole nother logistical nightmare, but for right now, it's working. So here are some things that we did to make Minecraft welcoming and fun. So because so many kids were playing, we kind of had to have a sign-in spot. One for statistics, which we all want to keep, is I really needed to know how many kids showed up each Thursday night. I work Thursday evenings, so I would work from, I worked 1:30 to 9. The program was from 4 to 7. So when I was on the information desk from 5 to 9, I could go in periodically and see how things were going, but I really needed a good count. And I'd say to Henry, so how many kids came? He was like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40. So we did a sign-in, we welcomed them, and it really made things nice. What I love most about this picture is it has a bunch of volunteers. It has one of the volunteers talking to one of the adults. It has Henry in the background, kind of surveying everything. And it just goes to show how it truly became intergenerational. I had kids playing, I had teens playing, I had adults who were interested. So it was really a lot of fun. And this was a picture of our teen volunteers playing, which when I took that picture and realized that they were all sitting there playing, was another indication that perhaps I needed to, look at how they were participating in the program, because I was really excited that they were coming and that they wanted to participate and they wanted to have fun. I just needed some I needed them to do a very specific job when they were here. So I didn't want to douse that enthusiasm because, again, teen boys in the library is also a good thing. And I talk a lot about boys, but there were girls who participated. I had girl volunteers. I have girls who came and played Minecraft, but it's been a lot of fun. So the value. What kind of value do you think this kind of program adds to your library? I think it helped a lot. It added a lot. Part of it was helping parents and grandparents understand the concept and what happens during Minecraft and why everybody's so obsessed with it. And I think the thing that surprised me the most was the social interaction of the kids. And that encouraged kids to read a lot and also usually at a grade level. So Becky, who is mother to Sophie age 9 and Owen age 7, said, "They've really enjoyed coming and playing with other kids. They are learning a lot from playing with the older kids." So Sophie and Owen played at home and they played with each other. So they were used to being on a server and they used to playing with each other. They were not used to playing with people other than themselves or older kids. So one day they're playing and they're in the server and there's 20 other kids playing and there's a lot happening, and I look over and Sophie is crying and I go over and I'm like, "What's wrong?" And her mom's like, "Somebody killed her." And I'm like, "Oh no." And the mom's like, no, it's okay. She's just not used to playing with other kids and she's not used to that part of the game. So I remember standing up and saying, "Okay, everybody, we've got to remember that not everybody's played together in a server before and that not everybody's used to being attacked or killed or their items being stolen." So after I said that, I thought, it's an odd thing to say in the middle of a children's department, but they got it. And then at some point you would hear, "Hey, GPL 6, do you mind if I come and steal your stuff?" Or, "Hey, GPL 2, can I attack you?" And then you'd hear voices go, "No, don't, I just want to play." And they'd be like, "Okay," and they'd go off. So it kind of helped open up that conversation about everybody playing in a collaborative space. It also became very intergenerational. I often heard, "Dad, come on over here and let me show you what I'm doing." And it was interesting to watch, and I would encourage the parents and the grandparents as they came, because they would stay in the room with the kids. Most of them wouldn't leave. They'd either go sit somewhere comfy or they would sit around and watch them play. But it was just amazing to watch that interaction. And I think as we're learning going forward is that engagement, no matter what you're engaged in, if you're that engagement with reading a book with a child or that engagement of playing a game or doing an app with a child, it's that engagement and from the adult's perspective of paying attention and engaging with your child about the experience that they're having, no matter what the media source is. And I love seeing all of them, so that if the dads or the moms or the grandmas were confused, I'd see the teen volunteers say, "Well, they're doing this because," or "I just showed them how to build a horse," that type of thing. So several of the grandparents who came to the program for adults would bring their grandkids every week and sit there and watch them play. They never took me up on the opportunity to play. They were like, "I'm good. I just know how much my grandkids love it," and they really enjoy the socialization aspect of it. As one dad told me, it looks confusing and boring, but that his children loved it and it had a very positive outcome for his kids, which he really liked. So reading and literacy. So I'm probably like most of you, I can tie anything to literature or literacy. So I usually had Minecraft books out, although it was hard because a lot of them were checked out, but I always have something out so they can read about it if they want to. But a couple of really good examples were one of my coworkers, Mary, she's a clerk here at the library, and she was returning books one day, and she came across this book called Amazing Minecraft Secrets You Never Knew About. And she took it home because she knew she had 2 grandkids who were Minecraft fanatics. And she thought her 7-year-old grandson, Ian, would eat this book up. So she was all excited, and she brought it home and she gave it to her son-in-law. And he's like, Mom, he goes, he'll never get it. He's 7. And she's like, well, just try it. So they gave the book to Ian, who's 7, and he read it. And the book's really short. It's about 50 pages, and it each has a topic on each page and then explains how to do something. So he read the book and he goes, Dad, I learned so much. This is so cool. But Dad was a little skeptical. So he took the book and he'd open to a page and be like, okay, Ian, tell me about this. And Ian would go, well, Dad, that means you've got to do this, and go on and explain it in detail. Or and then Dad would flip to another page and he'd be like, well, Ian would say, Dad, this means blah, blah, blah. And so the son-in-law was kind of blown away because he really didn't think his child was comprehending it, because he said the vocabulary in that book was huge and he just thought it was above his child's rating level. And I think it ties back into what that Wired article said, is that if their kids are really interested in something, they're going to really work through that article and work through the vocabulary to find out how it can help them. The other reading incident we had was that one night a 2nd grader was getting ready to go, and he had saw some of the Minecraft books, and he goes, Mom, I want to take out this book. And she looked at me like, help me, he'll never be able to read this book. And I just kind of stayed back, and she kind of said, well, if you can read the title of this book, I'll let you take it home and read it. And it was the Essential Handbook for Minecraft. And he read it, and she goes, okay, I guess we're checking this out. So it really ties into that. If they want to know enough about it, they will learn and they will read through it. Benefits. There have been tons of benefits for this, for everybody. For me, personally, for the library, for the kids that come, for the parents that see the value in it. And a lot of the parents noted that it was great to be in a social setting with kids who like the same thing. So a lot of these parents realized that their kids were at home playing Minecraft in a very solitary way. Yes, you can text and you can communicate online when you're playing Minecraft, but they were sitting by themselves doing it. What they enjoyed about this experience is that there were other fellow Minecrafters who loved the same thing their kid or grandkid loved in the same spot, and they could talk to them. So that was a huge, huge benefit that I never really anticipated. A couple of the parents said it's helped with their math skills. It helped with engineering because of all the building they had to do, and also managing resources. So, and then one of the dads said, it really teaches some life skills, mainly that not everybody is going to play fairly, because his daughter was complaining that she had created something, or she'd gotten all these elements, and that somebody had come through and stolen them. And he explained, well, life isn't fair in the game, and sometimes life isn't fair in the real world. And he just liked that example of, teaching her some resilience in the face of the game. One mom said, my daughter's become really organized. She knew that if she wanted to play, she had to come home from school, get all her homework done, eat dinner, and be ready to go so that she could play Minecraft at the library. Again, social skills. Gaining confidence and then helping others out who were just starting to play. And the more I paid attention to this, you would see kids would come in and they would just sit down and start playing, like, okay, I'm just going to play in my own little world. And then they'd have a little buddy, then they'd start talking to the kid next to them, or the kid next to them would ask a question. And you really saw them start to come out of their shells and say, well, no, but if you try this, this will work. Excuse me. And just seeing that that communication and that collaboration, and then that shy child who's now come out of his shell be that person who goes to that next shy child that comes in and says, hey, sit down next to me. I'll show you what we're doing. that was a huge thing. Another parent said that his interest in Minecraft has led to reading the Minecraft stories and learning more about the game. When I first started, there was not much fictional works about Minecraft, but now there's a whole genre of them, and they've been very popular too. And again, socialization, using their imaginations to set a goal, and then strategizing on how to accomplish that goal and execute a plan to meet their goals. Again, all big life lesson things that if you can realize from playing a game can only help you later in life. This is probably one of my favorite pictures, and I think it really speaks to the socialization part of the game, which is honestly something I'd never really thought about. But Jordan is the little girl and Matthew is the little boy, and they just, it just shows how much somebody would take time out. He's obviously explaining something to her, and you can tell she's just absorbed by it. So this is probably, when I think of socialization in Minecraft, this is the picture that kind of pops into my head. And they're also collaborating, which is a wonderful thing to do. So where did this lead us to? It led us to try a bunch of different things. It led us to expanding our teen volunteers. It also led us to create a teen summer reading program where they could play Minecraft themselves. It meant starting the program earlier. So when I started the program in January of 2015, the program ran January to April. We did every Thursday that the library was open from 4 to 7. Took a break over the summer. We did the teen Minecraft over the summer. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to start again in January of 16. But once school started up, I kept hearing, when are you going to play Minecraft? When's Minecraft starting? And I thought, oh, I apparently need to start this sooner. So I started it in November of 2015. So the next, what I consider session, ran November of 15 through April of 16. It also led us to try other programs. I've tried coding programs, snap circuits, ozobots, and what I think has been really important for us as staff as well as for the public is that we've really become the place to try new things and the place to facilitate the process of learning. What I've realized is that often the kids know more than I do or who's ever putting the program together, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But by putting them in a room together and letting them show off their skills and working with other people has been huge. So we all have that patron, that young patron who's, a little, let's say, rambunctious. That was Dylan. Dylan was being tutored inside the library because he had been expelled from school. Dylan signs up for one of our ozobot programs. We all took a collective sigh because we weren't quite sure what his behavior was going to be. We'd witnessed his behavior with the tutors. We weren't impressed. But we let him come, and it turns out he was one of the only kids in the program who had played with ozobots before. He also turned out to be one of the older kids. And what could have turned into a nightmare scenario turned into an awesome experience. He said to Laura, who was doing the program, "Excuse me, Miss Laura, can I show them how to do this?" And she's like, "Sure." And he went on and he showed the kids how to do different things with ozobots. And then he said, "Can I show them?" He was just so excited. And then he encouraged the kids to try different things. So what we thought could be a very, an unruly situation turned out to be an excellent situation. Dylan gained some confidence, and perhaps some confidence he needed because of whatever his situation was that expelled him from school, and to show him that he can bring something positive to the table. We also looked at Dylan and said, "We're doing this program again, would you be willing to help us out?" And he has. So that's been a win too, is that we've been able to, that way my staff person still needs to know about ozobots, but knows that there's somebody else in the room who can help answer some of those questions. So they say the magic happens when you're outside of your comfort zone. And I think that's true. I think that facilitating experiences, finding experts, learning what works and doesn't work, that whole process of continuous improvement. I also think having someone who can see the bigger picture is really helpful. We can also provide resources, books, classes, etc., on how to do things. But I just wanted to share with you some of my magical moments that happened when I decided to take a leap outside of my comfort zone. So these pictures are from a collaborative program we have done with RIT, which is the Rochester Institute of Technology here in Rochester, New York, with their College and Information Science college. What I realized my community wanted was technology programming, and what I realized I didn't have that skill set. But what I realized I had was I had a room and I had a laptop lab. So who can I reach out to get that, to get the skill set that I was lacking? And it was great. RIT agreed to come in. We're on our 3rd year of partnership where they come in from January to April, actually December to April, and they do a program once a month for kids and teens. And it's an excellent experience. The kids get experience from actual college students who are going to school for this and professors. The college gets something out of it because hopefully they may or may not be recruiting for future students, but it has worked out beautifully. What I like about the picture on the left is that that's one of the students, the RIT students, graduate students, who's helping them go through a game development program, and they had a blast. That picture is a picture of snap circuits. I don't know if you're familiar with snap circuits, but at one of the sessions for RIT, they couldn't come up with a session for something. And I had kids registered, and I didn't know what to do. And I went to my director, and I'm like, help. What do I do now? And she goes, well, have you ever heard of snap circuits? And I said, no. And she goes, my son has them and loves them. Let me bring his kid in. So she brought the kid in. I took it home, nearly had a heart attack when I saw how many pieces were inside the box. But I played with it. I did a little bit of research about what circuits were, that I couldn't electrocute anybody during the program, and then I played with it, and it was a lot of fun. So that was probably my first real foray into, I'm going to try something, but I don't really know enough about it. I knew the basics, but that's where my facilitation skills came into play. I had everybody in the room. I did a brief overview of what snap circuits were. I asked if some of the kids in the room had done snap circuits before, and they had, and some hadn't. So then everybody starts to work. There were 2 kids per kit, and they started to work, and they were doing their own thing. But then you heard one of the things you could create was an alarm buzzer. So you'd hear the alarm buzzer go off, and then the heads would all pop up, and they're like, what was that? What was that? And then they'd all rush over to see the 2 kids that had made the alarm buzzer. And then they started talking, well, how can we do that? Which project are you on? And they're like, we're on project 63, and we did that. So everybody would flip through. And then there was the group that tried the alarm buzzer, and it didn't work. So they went back to their first group and said, ours isn't working. What's going on? So the groups met together, and the group that was successful with the alarm said, well, it looks like this is backwards, and this isn't connected, so try that. Then this group did it, and it worked. So it was just that kind of giving them the space to try things out and learn things and learn from each other, I think is really huge. And these are ozobots. I don't know if you guys are familiar with ozobots, but they're 1-inch big programmable robots, and we love them. You can use them, you can learn to code using markers. You can actually write out your code, and it's in colored marker. Or there are apps you can download, and they can do different things through a laptop or a tablet. And again, we came up with a program because there was some interest. We got people to come, and then we let them kind of create their own experience. So this picture is of folks doing the ozobots. They started, everybody starts out all prim and proper, and they're sitting by themselves, and then by the end of the program, everybody's looking at what everybody else has done and how did you get it to do that? How did you get it to make circles? And sharing that information. So that's a lot of fun. My next foray was into robotics. The robot you see in the picture on the right is Mechanoid, that's his name right now, was a robot that we built. We originally saw him at the Fayetteville Free Public Library. We bought him, and when I opened him up, it was a box of 1,200 individual pieces. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do with this? And the idea came to do a bot build. So this past summer, I knew what I wanted to do, and again, I had the space, and I had the robot, and I had the iPad, but I didn't have the time or the skill set to do it. So I reached out to a couple of local schools actually, and said, here's what I'd like to do. Is anybody from your robotics teams interested in help? Do they want some volunteer time? Is anybody interested in working with me? And it turns out we had a young lady, Megan, who was from Mercy's robotics team, and she met with me. She looked at the robot, I explained what I wanted to do, and we came up with a 15-session program this summer where they met at various times, morning, afternoons, evenings, for about 90 minutes, and they built the robot. And they built him, and they kept building him, and then we were starting to run out of time because we wanted to demo him in August. And I finally said to Megan, I said, if we don't finish building him soon, we're not going to have any time to program him. And she goes, I know, I worried about that too. Megan took him home, finished building him, and brought him back. And then we spent three of our sessions programming him. So it's an app that comes that you can download either on your phone or the iPad. And in the top picture, what you see is Megan's holding the iPad, and the kids have picked a song that they want Mechanoid to dance to. So she's playing the song. Meanwhile, the kids are manipulating the robot, and she's recording it on the iPad. So we have now a play set of 6 different songs and 6 different dances that Mechanoid can do. The bottom picture is we have a program called Cool Tech Gadgets, where once a month we demo some cool tech gadget in the lobby. So in August, Mechanoid was our cool tech gadget, and some of the young kids who came to put him together and program him came, and then Megan came to explain all about how it went together. And lastly, probably the thing that's pushed me out of my comfort zone the most recently is Pokemon Go. I knew it was a huge hit, and I knew it was popular. I didn't play it. I missed the whole Pokemon original version of it. But as I started to read articles and saw that it was bringing people together, and it was getting people out and about, and they were visiting places because places were Pokestops, I really thought this was an opportunity to try something new. Our library was a Pokestop, so it was a great opportunity to bring people into the library. So I created a program. I broke it out on kids, families, teens, and adults, mostly millennials, because I wasn't sure if people were going to intermingle. I didn't know that much about the game. So the first program I had was for the millennials, 18 to 30 years old. We dropped lures every 30 minutes, which I had to learn how to do. We had food, and we had door prizes. So, and it was a huge success. The first person through the door was somebody who'd never been to the library before. She came into the room. She saw our 3D printer going. She asked about Freegal. I said, well, do you want to download and keep 5 free songs a week? She goes, of course I do. I said, you just need your Monroe County Library card. She goes, I don't have one. She goes, hang on, I'll be back. She went and got a library card. And then she came back and proceeded to talk Pokemon with a 15-year-old that was obsessed by something in by the game, and they sat there and talked for another 60 minutes. My other favorite moment of that night is when at 8:15, the program ended at 8:30, 4 20-year-old guys walked in, scarfed up the rest of my pizza, and sat in the corner and played Pokemon. Like, I was like, they came to the library. So there's all sorts of ways to try different things, and what I've learned from that going forward is that now all my Pokemon Go programs are all ages. because it didn't matter. We had families that night, we had teens, we had adults, so now they're kind of all ages. So my suggestion to you is to go for it. I found an interesting quote that says, "The comfort zone is the great enemy to creativity. Moving beyond it necessitates intuition, which in turn configures new perspectives and conquers fears." And it's by Dan Stevens, a British actor. So I hope you got some ideas. I hope you got some encouragement to try and do some new things. I think you just got to give it a whirl and try it. So that's all I have, and I didn't know if you guys had any questions.